Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is your brother Ayash Kabar from the GMS Virginia camp, coming at you with a little article and a little lesson that I pray that you find edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. And this is an article that's dated January 18th, 2026. But even though it's dated over 6 months ago, nearly 6 months ago, it's still relevant today. Because even back then, they were priming the people, or they were priming the audience for what could possibly happen or what will happen next. They've been giving you small hits of their intention. They've been letting you know what's coming down the pipe. This devil, he says it first, then he implements it. And that's his form of justification in such that he can actually say that he told you about it before he did it. That's a part of his witchcraft. And that's how he's been doing things all along. Whether, he puts things in movies, he puts things in news articles, or, he goes over it in his books. The fact of the matter is, he warned you on the left-hand side, But this is an article I got. Chill out there, brothers. Oh. This is an article I got out of govtech.com, and the title of it reads, "Will 2026 see a ChatGPT movement for microchip implants?" So there, the seed has been planted in such that he put the thought in your mind about AI coming together with microchip implants, because ChatGPT is an AI system. And, this devil wants that merger to happen, because AI is going to be the governing mechanism to control what you are able to do with these implants. So, going on with the article, and it reads, "As Hollywood imagines our future, are brain and human microchip implants nearing a ChatGPT moment in 2026? The medical progress collides with the privacy fears and state bans." You see, they throw it in movies like, Black Mirror and, Total Recall and movies like that, those sci-fi dystopian type movies, they throw the implants in there, they throw it, how you would be able to make phone calls with your hands, like in Total Recall, the second one, and then the first one, they talk about how you're able to be tracked using implants under your skin and all of this other stuff, So they've been priming the people for this type of technology for years, for decades, actually. Well, now it's here. Now it's in your face. Now it's at the point where the implementation has already begun, because in certain places around the world, I want to say it's Switzerland, where a lot of the people have already gotten implants. And a lot of people get implants just because, for what they say, the sake of convenience, And just recently, this Jake just came out with, a Neuralink implant in his head. And when you look at the Jake, he looked bugged the fuck out, eyes wide open, or should I say eyes wide shut, just looking like a total bug out. Yeah, I got it. You know what I mean? So these things are here, these things are happening, and they're right before your face. And that's how you know we're at the end of this thing where this devil's about to shut everything down. But nonetheless, other prophecies must take place. But the MOTB is by far one of the biggest prophecies that has to come to pass, you know, before those nuclear missiles come and the salvation of, you know, of the elect of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So, reading on with the article, my wife and I have been enjoying the new Peacock series Copenhagen Test over the past few weeks. I haven't heard about this show, but I guess I'll look into it. Over the past few weeks, IMDb describes the show this way: a first-generation analyst realizes his brain's hacked, allowing access to his senses. Stuck between the agency and hackers, he acts normal to reveal the culprits. We haven't learned yet when or even if the chip was placed in the analyst's head. The first episode reveals that wireless signals are coming out of his brain, and that someone can see and hear everything that he does. Yo. I find that Hollywood fiction, though over sensationalized, often brings to life what is coming next regarding how technology will impact life. Put simply, people often understand these movies and TV shows better than what is actually happening in the real world. From war games in the early 80s, shall we play a game, to Mr. Robot in 2015, to the Copenhagen Test today, the people and process implications of new technology can become more real for viewers in these dramas. And it is becoming real because it's actually right before your face. It's happening right before your eyes, in the sense of, okay, even in this show in earlier this year, 2026, they put that seed in your mind. Hey, a implant could be installed in your brain, but not realizing that 2-3 years before, Elon Musk was investing in this company called Neuralink. You know, and that's just one company out of many that have derived technologies for brain implants. Well, what do you see today? You know, as I said earlier, you know, you got this Jake walking around promoting this shit. You know what I'm saying? You got sickly people who couldn't do certain things either with their arms, with their legs, or even with their whole body, whereas all they could do is move their head, you know, their tongue and their eyes and breathe and shit like that, do so-called remarkable things that they weren't able to do before because of technologies. You know what I'm saying? So this devil, you know what I'm saying, is sitting in the temple thinking that he is God, you know? He's actually doing things in terms of his witchcraft, you know what I'm saying, to have people think that this is a great thing, you know? So, going on with the article, meanwhile, the headlines continue to progress regarding implanting chips in humans for various reasons. Consider these stories already published in 2026. The Neuralink set to launch high-volume brain implant production as competitors weigh in. Elon Musk's company Neuralink has announced plans to expand its brain-computer interface, BCI, chip, the link to high-volume production this year. Neuralink will start high-volume production of brain-computer interface devices and move to a streamlined, almost entirely automated surgical procedure in 2026. Musk wrote in December 31st, 2025, posting on X, device threads will go through the dura without the need to remove it. At this stage, we interpret high volume realistically as hundreds moving towards low thousands of implants per year. Carolina Aguilar, CEO and co-founder of InBrain Neuroelectronics, one of Neuralink's competitors, told The Debrief, although Aguilar, Salakia if I'm pronouncing this name wrong or that name wrong, added that the company expects that the number to eventually reach tens of thousands on account of a range of factors. So they're definitely going full in on this. You know what I'm saying? They're definitely making it such that the technology for the implementation is in place. Because once everything shuts down and the people become desperate to the point where they'll actually start giving themselves up, you know, they want to be ready. They want to be ready, you know what I'm saying, to reprogram the robots. You know what I'm saying? So a few of the things that's going to make the people want this is you know, the lack of, well, not the lack of, but wanting to revert back to some sense of normalcy once everything goes to shit. You know, the people are going to beg for what was again, you know, and this is just something that I just looked up at my car clock and it said 144 or 144. But a lot of people, you know, are going to look for or seek a sense of normality. And then a lot of people is going to search for safety. They're going to want safety because it's going to be so chaotic out here that, you know, a lot of people are just going to go down unto Egypt for help. You know, they're going to turn back to the same devil that put them in that situation that they're in, the lack of food. A lot of people are going to look at this as being their only one-ditch effort to get food, you know, although rationed, if they even get food at all. You know, a lot of people are going to look at this to survive, you know, to put it bluntly. A lot of people are going to take this out of a desperate need to survive. But the elect of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai will lean upon him, you know, and not on those who smote them, you know. And that's going to be one of the major differences between the elect and the 2/3, you know. The elect isn't going to turn back into this devil that put them in this position. The elect is going to turn to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua that's delivering that is delivering them out of this position. You know? Let me see. I might jump down. I don't know how long this article is. But nonetheless, you know, it's about to get bad. So let me see. Let me see if I can grab something else. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a relatively lengthy article. As a matter of fact, let me just break out some precepts right quick. Let me break out some precepts. So let me first grab the book of Revelations, chapter 13 and verse 16. Because the people are going to be put in a situation where even though that they might not want it, even though they might have an issue with getting shit poked in their heads or getting things stabbed in their hands, you know, their being desperate is going to cause them to do this. And this devil is setting up the perfect polycrisis that would cause you to break down and turn to him. So the book of Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16 reads, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond." So let's look into that. He causeth all. So that's everybody, minus the elect, so to speak. He causeth all, small and great, rich and poor. So it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your status is in this world. You know? Whether you're small, whether you're great, whether you're rich, whether you're poor. You know, hey. As a matter of fact, let me get that definition for small. Small, little, of size, hence of stature, of length, of space, of age, of time, of quality, of rank, or influence. So it don't matter what your status is in this world, you know, whether you're a low type person, you know, like a blue collar worker or whatever, or whether you're a fucking congressman or whatever, you know, you're going to receive this mark if you're not of the elect of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And it doesn't matter what your monetary value is, because once they crash this system, your ass is going to be at net zero until you receive this mark, you know, until you receive this charagma. So you might find yourself to be in a good case right now, whereas, you know, you're able to go to the store, you're able to buy whatever it is that you want to buy and do whatever it is you want to do, go wherever it is that you want to go. You might be in that good case right now, but this devil's about to make it such that, you know, everything that you believe in will soon cease. You know, I mean, shit, the poor have been poor. You know, they've been learning how to deal with being poor. And there are a lot of things being poor has its benefits about, you know, like how to make $1 out of 15 cents type shit. You know, how to make a meal stretch, you know. So the poor can work out certain things by being poor, but the rich is going to crumble. The rich is going to crumble. You know, all these people who live in these suburban areas and, you know, these actors and these sports players and these millionaires, yo, a lot of them are about to lose their wealth. A lot of them are about to go to net zero. And even after the reset and this devil brings the system back, you're still not going to have what you once had. You know, I mean, shit, you're not going to have what you once had. Why? Because this devil's going to make it such that, you know, he's on top and everyone else is on the bottom. You know, and so all those jakes who actually play cards with this devil is going to be had in derision. Thank you very much for getting me to where I needed to be. Fuck you, I'm taking all that you have. Go work. But, you know, I did this for you. I did that. I don't give a fuck about that. Go work. A lot of these jakes, man, you know, who actually sold themselves out thinking that once this new system fall into play, they're going to be a part of it in a big way, you know, are sadly mistaken. Because you got to understand, this devil wants to put Israel under subjection. So any Jake who actually thinks that they're not going to get the MOTB is sadly mistaken. Because once you get that, you're done in the eyes of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. 2/3 is done anyway. You know, let's understand that. But when you get that MOTB implanted, then you're done. You know, so, hey, to you jakes who sold yourselves out for what you call money, which is actually this money isn't even worth the fucking piece of paper it's printed on. But for all you jakes who have actually sold themselves out for, let's say, nothing, you know, you're about to be had in derision. in a big way. And that big way is going to embarrass a lot of you fucking people, you know, who actually thought, you know, you would succeed for a very long, you know, you would be able to pass your riches and your wealth down to your children. Nah, this is it. This is the end of the world as you know it, you know. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. And that mark, let's get that G5480, a stamp, an imprint, a stamp, an imprinted mark, you know, of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as a badge of the followers of the Antichrist. You know, kind of going off there as far as the Antichrist, because there are many Antichrists, you know. The mark branded upon horses, a thing carved, a sculpture, a graven work of idolatrous images. And when you go deeper, it goes into Karax, a pale or stake, a palisade, you know, a palisade or rampart, pales between, I ain't gonna get that, but a palisade, you know, a Karax, a Karagma, you know. So, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, you know, and that's what this article was going into, you know. This company Neuralink has created technology that would install implants in your foreheads, in your heads, period. And what a lot of people don't understand about electronics generate heat, okay? Electronics generate heat. Voltage times current is power, okay? And that power over time creates what is the heat created, which is watts. And when that's under your skin, it does something to your flesh. In other words, you can look at it like this. You could put a piece of chicken in the microwave and watch that chicken cook from the inside out. But it will never become crispy, but it will cook it, okay? And so that flesh will become dead from the inside. Well, it's already dead because, you know, you're cooking it, but that flesh will become, dead is the wrong word. It wouldn't have, I'm trying to put this in a way that, you know, people could get it. When you microwave like a chicken, you know, those atoms bombarding against each other creates heat. And that heat is what actually cooks the meat. Well, that's what's happening to the flesh where they're going to put these implants. Your flesh is going to be cooking around that implant. That's why the scriptures say a lot of people are going to have, I don't know where the scripture is or even how it's phrased, but these people are going to start having boils, you know, where the mark is. Why? Because their skin or their flesh is going to be cooking because of the frequencies that's generated by these implants. You know, it's going to start creating heat, and when that heat gets to a point where it starts cooking your flesh, then your body's going to want to react to prevent that from happening, you know. And when that starts happening, then, you know, you start getting boils and, you know, sores and stuff like that. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find that, because this is one of the effects. I don't know where it's at. I forgot how it's worded. Yeah, I forgot how it's worded, but if I can remember, I put it in the description box. But nonetheless, this devil's going to cause you to get these implants because of your position, your status, what you're going through. So in that, what should you be doing right now? I got to get ready to close out because I'm at the plantation. The book of Romans, chapter, 13 and 11. 11? The book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 11. And knowing that, and that knowing the time, that now is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than what we believe. So if they were talking about doing this back in January, and even before that, but now, it started to become more and more mainstream, then what time do you think you're in? Do you think that you're in that time where you should be out there in the streets celebrating if the Knicks fucking won? Should you be getting tickets to the soccer games that's coming to Babylon the Great? Should you be planning your fucking vacations to Tahiti? What time do you actually think you're in? The scriptures say now it is high time to awake out of sleep, out of that slumber, out of that feeling of mirth, because all of these things are behind you. The MOTB is here. They're just waiting for that trigger to make it all happen, Captain. And now this is the time. Let me grab another preset. Because Jake is fucking around. And now isn't that time. The prophets are out there on the highways and byways warning you, letting you know these things. I can't tell you how many other prophets brought up this same article or talked about the same subject. But I can honestly say everyone who is a prophet of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai has said something about it. Because that's what time you're in. The book of 2 Esdras, chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou see a part of the signs pass, what is part of the signs passing? Wars, rumors of wars, storms, tempests in diverse places, famines in diverse places. The conversation being brought up about the MOTB. And when thou see a part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world in which he made. And what are some of the ways that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai will visit the world? So let me see if I can get that. Let me see. Salakia. The book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai of hosts, with thunder and with earthquake and with great noise, with storm and tempest and flames of devouring power. Aren't you seeing that right now? Isn't that what you're seeing right now? So if you're seeing that right now, then that should tell you that you're being visited of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So I got to get ready to head into the plantation. But nonetheless, I pray that you found this lesson edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And Lord's will, I'll be able to make one here real soon. But with that, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Havakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who woo well. Peace and salutations unto the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.